So we got some parts in, exhaust gaskets, a new coolant reservoir because the one in the car is in real bad condition. New little radiator hose. The one in the car is covered in oil, and that's no good because oil deteriorates rubber. And this is the head gasket set, so I'm about to bust it open. Let's see what we got here. Oh wow, it came with new valve seats. This thing came with everything. The garage is a mess. Alright, so we got the head gaskets here. And that looks a million times better than what came out of the car. I might have to get some copper spray. Help that seal up better. So that's the old gasket, and that's the new gasket. You can see around these edges, it's all burnt away, charred up. Right here, it's burnt through, and it's all rusty. This one, solid. Now let's take a trip to the machine shop. Oh.
So all this is a straight edge.
Yep.
And this is machined. You know, precision machined.
Mm-hmm.
So you put it down, you gotta make sure both ends are touching. And that's not going underneath it. And when you come over here,
Yep.
so that head is warped.
Yep, I knew it had to be.
So the gasket is stuck up about 2 thousandths, and that's at 2.5 thousandths.
Okay.
So that's over 2.5. So it's got to be resurfaced, or it may not seal up.
Okay.
But you want to check it this way, and then straight. All three ways. We know it's bowed, so there's no point in doing anything else because we're going to have to cut it flat.
All right. About how much would it run on?
It's these heads. The setup's a little bit longer, so it's about $50 a head.
$50 a head?
So $100 for both. Plus, you're going to have $20 cleanup.
All right.
Yeah, it's definitely have to be cut.
Yeah.
What you got to watch out for when you do this stuff, you can't have a little piece of something, gasket or something down here.
Yep.
Because then it gives you, I mean, that's just exaggerated. Yeah.
All right.
There's times you go into shops and they'll have something on the head to where, oh yeah, this is all, but you see it won't go under there, and it won't go under there. So we're on the same plane.
Yep.
With the bar, but right there, which is kind of typical between the cylinders because it gets so hot.
All right.
You can see that right there. From there to there was going across.
All right.
So yeah, that's where it took the head gasket out right there.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, and I know this one's pretty much screwed too.
So if we do one, I'm gonna do them both.
Yep.
Just automatically.
All right, so I'm
And they're the same, you know, we're cutting the same amount off each one.
all right.
You know, all we do is cut the middle. So later on, I'll check that. I'll find the worst one. Then we'll cut it flat. And if it was 4/1000ths, then we cut 4 off the other one.
All right. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'll contact the owner of the car, talk to him about the money once he gets the money.
Yeah.
Over
So you're looking at about $120
$120.
to clean it and then resurface it.
All right, cool.
Put some parallels up here. Then take the Bridgeport clamps and hold the head down.
All right. This is a CNC mill machine, right?
No, this is a head and block surfacing.
Oh, okay.
But there's blocks and heads. All it does is surface. It's got carbide cutters, and this just runs across as it's turning. It's got 15 cutters in it.
Yeah, I got to get some learning to do.
Well, you got to make sure the head's level. You can't have it up there like that.
Yep.
Just cut a 1/4 inch off here and 0 down there.
It's gonna be horrible. It won't even run.
Huh?
That wouldn't even run.
Oh, no.
All right.
Well, nothing to bolt up. You take one bolt up because now you've moved everything, but everything else on the car is still where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Another bolt holes line up at that point.
It's a nice shop. All right, I'm gonna let you get back to what you were
All right,
doing.
yeah, just give me a call, let me know, or stop by anyway.
All right, I'll see you.
Okay.
Have a good one. All right, we're back at it with the Charger. Charger gang. That was corny. All right, and the heads are over here looking all spiffy. About to pop these puppies back on the car. Looking real good. That man did a good job. I know where I'm taking all my car parts. Yep. So, I'm going to get these heads on and I'll be right back. Peace. Alright. Both cylinder heads have been remated with the surface. Excuse me. That was nasty. Yep. So now I'm going to throw all the bolts back in. You got 3 right here. You got, I don't know how many, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts right there. And then there's these little thingy things. I forgot the name for those too. Sorry, it's real late. And those go in here. Gotta put those back. And yeah, so I'm gonna do stuff. Peace. Yeah. Alright, all the head bolts are torqued down. I'm going to put the camshafts back in, and then I'm going to take my tree pop puller. I'm going to put the front pulley off, and once the pulley is off, I'm going to pop the cover off, and once the cover is off, I'm going to time the engine. So I'll be back when the camshafts are in the vehicle. Alright, so the front cover is off. Front cover is off. Timing cover, as I should say. And right down here. Right there. Right there. There's a little triangle. And that triangle needs to line up with this. This here, the line right there. And then there's also marks on the timing chain that has to line up with them both. So I'm gonna get all this lined up. I'm gonna show you what it's like when it's done. Be right back. Alright, this is the position that your crank will have to line up in. There's a triangle arrow right here. That arrow should be pointing straight at this link, the dark link. There's one dark link here, and then there's 3 darker links that goes up on the cams. I'll show you those later on, but this lines up here, dead center, and that also lines up with the crack on the crank, and that's how you time the crank. And I'll be right back with you. I'm going to show you how to time the cams very shortly. Alright, now that the bottom half of the engine is timed, I'm going to start installing the cam caps. Put these cams back on, and then I'm going to show you how to time the upper sprockets. Check again. Nope, still off. little bit more. Right there should be good. Now what I do is take this here sprocket. This goes on the right side head, and it goes on just like that. Like it lines up like this. This arrow should be pointing that way. And there's 2 dark spots on the timing chain. Damn it. Alright, so I got all timing marks lined up. There's black links on the chain where you're supposed to line up. See the little triangle back there, the black link on the chain, and the slot on the crankshaft. That's all lined down here. And up top on the right half of the motor, this is the intake. Let me clean off this lens. So this is the intake, and on the intake there's 2 black links, and both of those black links go dead center of the triangle right here, and the triangle should be facing upwards as it is right now. These 2 bolts should be flat with the surface. That should be pointed upwards. And then on this intake cam, the left side of the engine, there's a black link, 1 black link specifically, lined up with the little dot right here in the hole on the gear. And same with the other side. These 2 bolts are flat with the surface. And one other thing I didn't point out that you guys should know: when you take these cams off and you need to figure out how to retime them, there's a black link on them right here, with the dots on the cams. So it's real simple, nothing too difficult to do. So at this point with the engine time, what I would do is I'll tighten down that bolt, and then on the side of the engine, the timing tensioner goes into the side of the engine, and it pushes right here just like that, and it tightens up the timing chain. So that would be the next step. And then after that's done, you spin the motor about, I just keep on spinning it about 6-7 times. I spin the motor and make sure nothing hits. If you feel like if you're spinning the motor and the motor feels like it's stuck on something, don't force it. You probably did something wrong with the timing, and you should go back and check what was done. So this car has a new timing chain kit, a new water pump that I didn't get on this video. But if you were to change your water pump on here, you'll have to pull the front cover off just like I did with the 3-draw puller. And then there's the water pump right here. It's a few bolts you take them off, and then you can change the water pump out. So that's all time now. I'm going to throw that tensioner in, do my cycles, spin it around a couple times, and make sure everything's all good. Once we know it's good, completely reassemble everything. Put the intake manifold back on, valve covers, I got to finish bolting up the exhaust. I got that side on, but I got to finish up this side. Finish bolting up the exhaust. Put the front timing cover on. Put the harmonic balancer pulley back on, and do all your wiring, triple check the work, and make sure everything's right, and then you just give it a start. Make sure everything's good. Once it's running, clear all your engine codes, make sure you don't got no check engine light or nothing, and then the job's complete. So I'll be back once this timing tensioner is back in. Alright, once these timing marks are all lined up, everything looks good. This right here is the timing tensioner for this motor, and there is a hole on the side of the engine block right here. Right there. Yeah. It goes through and pushes on that timing chain slide. So I'm going to take this tensioner, I'm going to push it through there real quick. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. Just push it in there, and then there's a cover with 2 bolts that goes on it. right when it gets to that rubber ring, it's pretty difficult. So I'm going to be right back once this is popped in. Now that timing tensioner is in, and before you set it off so it can set tension on the chain, you got to put this cover back on. It's 2 bolts and there's a pin on it, so it only goes in one direction. And as you can see, one bolt goes there, one bolt goes down there, and below that bolt is a tiny slot that pin lines up with. So you line it up there, and you bolt it down with 2 bolts, and then I'll show you how to set off the tensioner for the set tension on the timing chain. I'll be right back. Alright, so the cover is bolted on. Bam, bam, just like that. Now what I'm doing here is I'm gonna basically we're gonna disturb the tensioner so that it sets off. Just like that. Now it should be tension on the timing chain. Yep. Now before I go ahead and spin the motor out, check everything over. That's lined up. And that's lined up. That is lined up, so my timing marks are all right. Now I'm gonna spin the motor around and make sure that I don't get any, anything hitting. You don't want nothing hitting inside the motor. If you do, that means you didn't do it right, and you're gonna break something when you start it. So don't start it, take it apart, and redo what you just did. So now I'm gonna go ahead, spin the motor. I'm gonna set you guys down, and I'll be back once I confirm that everything's all set. Spin it over real nice and slow. Alright, that's definitely perfectly fine. So that there's how you time this Chrysler 2.7 liter Chrysler Dodge 2.7 liter motor, used in a Dodge Charger, Dodge Magnums, Chrysler Sebrings, some minivans here and there, but it's not hard at all. I'm gonna throw in the reassembly just because most people would like to see the whole process from start to finish. So yeah, I'll be back when I'm putting all these covers back in place. I'm gonna start with the front timing cover. Alright, I just hooked up all the hoses for the coolant system. There's one up there, upper radiator hose, one down here, lower radiator hose. Then you got this hose right here. It comes from the breather tube. It goes that way through the engine, right about here. Comes out. It goes into a T-split. I had to go buy one of these because it broke. These do go bad. The one that was up here was completely brittle. So goes to this T-split into the heater core. This comes out the heater core. Goes down here. One hose goes down to the lower half of the engine block. That it connects to where the thermostat goes. And this hose right here goes into the coolant reservoir tank. And I replaced that too, so that's new. Everything's all hooked up. It looks good. If this car overheats, there will be no reason for it to overheat, and I would be super pissed. Nah, but I'm pretty confident it's gonna be just fine. It's gonna be just fine. So I'm gonna keep putting this thing back together. Alright guys, so charger's back together. I didn't really record too much because I wanted to get it done. This is somebody else's car, and I really do need to get it back to him, so it's back up and running again. And it doesn't overheat anymore. I drove it for a very long time last night. So from where I left off, all I really did was I put the valve covers back on, put the intake manifold back on, hooked up all the electrical, and then with this car, in order to bleed the coolant system, with the engine cold, you take this cap off, you open this valve, and you continue to fill this up until you see nothing but a steady stream of water coming out of here. Then you know there's no more air in the system. Let it run for a little bit and do it again, and then once you got heat inside the cabin, you know that you don't have any more air bubbles in your system. So that's how you do the head gaskets on a Dodge Charger 2.7 liter V6. And yeah, hopefully this helps somebody out. Alright guys, so I'm in the Charger right now, cruising down the highway, and she's riding good, boy. I tell you, man, this car running real bright, you know what I'm saying, man. Cruising cool temps, ain't nothing going crazy. So job successful. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.